Good evening, Chicago, and welcome to the Season 4 premiere of In the Money. I'm your host, Tamara Dervin. It's been a minute, Chicago. Did you miss me? Because I definitely missed you. So much has happened in our world and in our economy since the last time we were together. Prices have gone up, markets have shifted, jobs have changed, and for some of us, our financial reality looks very different than it did just a year ago. So for this, our season premiere, I want to start with a few simple but honest questions. How are you doing financially? Are you still in the money? Are you thriving, or are you just trying to survive? The truth is, right now, we're all living in a bit of a financial dichotomy. Some of you are doing well. Your investment and real estate portfolios are continuing to grow. You're navigating higher prices, but overall, you're still spending normally and helping push our economy forward. Others are doing okay, but being a little more intentional and cautious with their money. Maybe you're watching the budget more closely, delaying certain purchases, or focusing on saving just a little more. And then there are some folks who are saying, Tamara, things are tight. Prices are high, saving and investing feels out of reach, maybe income has changed, or a job was lost. And right now, the focus is simply making it through the month. Wherever you are in this moment, I want you to know something. This show is for you. This week's show is all about level setting, understanding where you are financially right now in this current economy, while giving you practical tips, actionable steps to help you move from simply surviving to thriving and staying in the money. On the other side of the break, financial advisor Tony Escobar joins me to discuss the current state of our economy and share financial strategies, whether you're thriving or just trying to survive. Stay with us.
They say television is about sitting back. We say it's about stepping up. Your block has stories worth telling. Your neighbors have voices worth hearing. Chicago has a heartbeat worth sharing. Stop watching their world. Start showing yours. It's time to tune in and be seen. Can TV, always here, always yours. Experience the power of community television.
Welcome back. My first guest is Tony Escobar, financial advisor with Thrivent. Welcome to In the Money, Tony.
Thank you, Tamara. I'm glad to be here.
Before we get into talking about strategy, I want to just acknowledge the reality. Some people are watching and their investment accounts are growing. Others are watching and grocery prices are high. They're experiencing layoffs. From your perspective, what is the true state of people's finances right now with you talking to people, everyday people, and even working with your clients?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. There's a wide variety depending on where you're at and what your situation is. You got, on the one hand, people who have stability with their income, with their investments, their savings, and they're feeling secure. And then on the other hand, you have people that might feel like they're surviving or struggling. And this is even in light of the fact that over the last 10 years, the market has pretty much been up for the most part. Like when you look back at the S&P 500 last 10 years, it's up over like 225%.
Yeah.
But a lot of people aren't feeling that. And so that's a reality that we see. It's a wide spectrum right now.
If someone that is watching and they're feeling like they're just trying to survive right now, higher prices, of course, and everyone is feeling that. Maybe they're experiencing unstable income. What is the first financial move they should make this month?
Yeah, well, I feel like it's always going to be getting your cash flow in order, right?
Okay.
I know we talk a lot about getting a budget in place, understanding not just what your income is, but also what's outgoing, and really trying to get that under control. And then, we say from there, then you really want to focus on those foundations, right? How do you make sure that you stabilize your income, stay on that budget, and then do the kind of things that are going to allow you to have stability and not stay in those tough situations. Maybe you have to increase your income. Obviously, you want to maintain the ability to keep saving a little more and more if you can, but really getting those foundations, because sometimes we tell people too, is like, how can we make this a temporary season for you? Like if you're struggling right now, how do we make this a temporary season by stabilizing, getting yourself as strong as possible, and then incrementally building yourself up. That way you can make baby steps and progress in the direction that you want to go.
If someone doesn't have extra money, okay, what is a practical way they can build wealth in small, consistent steps?
Yeah, well, I'd say they got to start in the small steps, like you said, and start as soon as possible. Another reality too is if we have, it take like a mindset type shift for some people too. Like we're already used to committing to certain types of expenses. Let's say it's your mortgage, it's your utilities, phone bill, etc. We're already used to spending and committing to those because they're important to us, right? Because if you don't pay those, it's going to get cut off. You're going to feel that.
Right.
So if you can have the mindset to say, my future is also really important, like future self, and value that, and then treat yourself like a bill of sorts, right? Pay yourself in a way where you're realizing that, like, I can't cut myself off in the future. And another reality too is, from a mindset standpoint, is to think that, acknowledge that we're privileged to live in a country that's pretty wealthy, right? We're like the wealthiest country in the world. We can find ways to make those small savings or those small steps forward if we value it enough, because we know that we're going to pay for what we value.
Yeah.
We get that coffee, we get those shoes, we get that stuff. Nothing wrong with that, but we can also treat our future the same way.
If someone recently lost a job or they're fearing layoffs, what is, let's say, a little financial triage steps that they can take immediately? So they feel they either lost a job, so now we're like in emergency mode. What are some things that they should do?
Yeah, well, I'll start first with the potential job loss, because at least we know, like, it's not here yet, or maybe it might not come. But what I would say first is you always want to take the measures, again, to fortify yourself. If you haven't built up an emergency reserve, start doing that. Perhaps you want to delay major expenses, major purchases. If you had something in mind that you were going to spend, maybe it was like a home repair or maybe like a trip, maybe you delay that for a little while just in case. It also doesn't hurt to start networking, getting yourself out there. Maybe you got on LinkedIn and just kind of make relationships just in case. And I always will tell people too is along the way, continue to improve yourself. Add more value to your skills to make yourself more valuable. And then this also will translate into the person who has been laid off. Now it's a little bit different situation there, because the triage there is we have to get your income back, right?
Yeah.
It's gone. So we have to do as much as we can to obviously still network, get as many good opportunities as you can to just get that income coming back in. But same way, minimize spending if you can, try to manage that. If you've had the opportunity to live off your reserves, just be as conservative as you can. That way you don't run out of that runway. Yeah. But a lot of those same things are still there, is having a good network, continuing to build your skills, and then don't give up. Yeah. Because you're almost there. That's why I tell people, you're almost there, don't give up.
You're almost there. So let's shift a little bit to those that are thriving. How should someone rebalance or reassess their investments in this season?
That's a great question too. So a lot of it depends on your situation. And so when it comes to investing, we like to talk about the timing and the timeline of investing, right? So if you think about your investments in buckets, very simple buckets would be your short term, your near term, and your long term. If you have a longer timeline, let's say we'll just use retirement as the example. If your timeline for retirement is 25, 30 years, well, you can allow your investments to continue to be more aggressive, and that would be more of a balance in stocks, which are the more aggressive types of investments, right? Those are the growth things, versus like your bonds, your fixed assets, and things that are supposed to be safer. So if you're in a situation where, like, hey, I'm not going to retire for 20, 30 years, well, let your money do its thing, right? As you get nearer to your retirement timeline, or whenever you want to use your money, that's when you have to rely on some of those other buckets, your short and near-term bucket. You don't want to let go of the growth bucket because you still need that there. But this is where you can start trickling down some of those growth dollars over the years and say, hey, how much money do I need to have in the next year? How much money do I want to have available for the next 2 to 5 years? And then bucket that way. And then so now when you rebalance your portfolio, you just have to know, like, what's my timeline? You know, when do I need this money? And then how will I balance it out according to those buckets?
So speaking again to those that are thriving, what would you say is something that they should consider adding to their financial plan?
Yeah, well, I would say high five and feel good about thriving now, because I know it takes a lot of work to do that, right?
Yeah.
And so, and we'll also say too is that when you're in a situation where you're secure and you're thriving, you actually, and this is a good thing, you move from being just in a needs-based position to being more in an opportunity-based position. So I would tell people, hey, can we find ways to make your money work smarter, not just for you, but for some of that impact in your community and things that you care about. Yeah. One example might be something that they might try is called a donor advised fund. So a donor advised fund is like a investment account for charitable purposes.
Wow.
Right, and so it's got great tax benefits, but it also helps your money to grow a little bit faster. So if you're thriving, you might be in a situation where you say, hey, you know what if I use some of that extra money, put it in an account like that, let it grow, and then grant out dollars to my community from there. And that's just a great way, if you're in that situation, to be giving back.
Thank you so much, Tony, for being on In the Money today. I know our viewers were empowered by our conversation today, so thank you so much for your time and your expertise.
Yes, no, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. I've had a good time here. Yeah.
Thank you. After a quick break, we'll be joined by Live Chicago financial coach Stephanie Garcia, along with Artria Irving. In the Money continues on the other side of a short break. Stay with us.
Got something to say about Chicago? Now's your chance to be heard. Chicago Newsroom 2.0 is launching Opinion, a new segment where everyday Chicagoans take the mic. Whether it's a neighborhood issue that's been ignored, a citywide concern that needs attention, or a fresh idea that could change our city, we want to hear from you. Submit your commentary at cantv.org/opinion. If selected, we'll invite you on air to share your perspective with all of Chicago. Experience the power of community television.
Joining the conversation now are Stephanie Garcia, financial coach with Live Chicago, and Artria Irving, a former member with Live Chicago. Welcome to In the Money, Stephanie and Artria.
Thanks so
you
much
for being here today.
Thank you.
I know Live's mission is to break the cycle of intergenerational poverty through investing in parents. And based on our conversation today of working with those that are trying to survive, I know the population that typically Live works with are individuals, really parents, that are trying to get up to a place of financial stability. So I believe that it was perfect for you guys to come, you Artria, to tell your story of working with Live in the past, and then also you, Stephanie, of working with individuals and coaching them, because sometimes we do need someone to walk alongside us to get us to a place of financial stability. Can you tell us a little bit about the model of Live, the coaching model of Live?
Yeah, for sure. So our coaching model for direct service, we call it our 2-gen model, which is 2 generations, and at a time where we invest in parents. So we're investing in parents which will infuse through their families, including their children. So within our coaching model, we meet with members once a month typically. It's typically 1-hour meetings, and we go over goals, and those goals typically fall into 3 buckets. They're either financial, educational, or career-oriented goals, and how we kind of more specify what those goals look like. We could use the SMART model, right? So it's measurable, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely goals.
So for our viewers who have never worked with a financial coach, what is the difference between them like getting advice and more like accountability that a coach typically brings?
Yeah, so advice, it's more of a one-off comment, you just say. It's something that is given but not really followed up on. And I think accountability, it looks different because there is someone who is following up, right? There's someone who's checking on that accountability and really saying, hey, I remember last time we met, you said that I was going to do X, Y, and Z. How was that? You know, I think that's a little bit different. With advice, there's not really a follow-up.
That's good. When someone comes to Lyft feeling overwhelmed, I'm sure you get this a lot, maybe behind on their bills, maybe discouraged, what is the first step that you take with them?
As a coach, I think it would be coming from a place of curiosity. So really understanding the person's relationship with money, their person's relationship with, if it's coming from a really hard place of financial hardship, just being curious, asking some powerful questions, which is one of our coaching interventions within Lyft, and getting to know the person, right, to build a relationship, because talking about finances could be uncomfortable and definitely an emotional experience.
If someone is watching and they feel alone financially, what practical step can they take this week to build support around them?
That's a really good question. I think the first step is definitely self-awareness. I think it's really having a hard conversation with yourself as well and really understanding what you need. And it's also okay to ask for help too, right? I think it's sometimes hard to ask for help and ask for resources. And I think with resources, really looking into some educational resource so to learn more.
That's good. So I'm going to come to you now, Artria. Can you take us back to where you were financially before working with Lyft?
Yeah, before working with Lyft, I would definitely say I did not really have a clear plan for how to really manage my finances and really understanding what to do or what made the most sense when trying to understand and make sure that I was in a good financial position. Okay.
And what do you feel like your biggest fear was? Did you have any fears as it related to money?
Yeah, so one of my biggest fears was really just not understanding if I could be able to manage my finances alone. My husband and I were just moving out and with our 2 kids, and we were in a space where we just weren't really sure, and we wanted to make sure that we would be okay. So it was a little nerve-wracking. I'm like, I think we got it, but what if we don't? So that was like a big thing for me.
What would you say when you started with Lyft? What were some of your big goals that you said when you sat down with your coach?
Yeah, one of my goals was to be able to find a new job. I wanted to be able to make sure that I had a clear idea of like how I was going to finish school and also while working, and just kind of having somebody to be an accountability partner to walk me through those goals and to make sure that I was taking the steps and actually trying to meet them.
I'm glad that you said that, because I know a lot of times when we sit down and we talk to people about financial goals or goals related to finances, they're typically about, credit, debt, saving, investing. Sometimes we don't think about, okay, maybe I need to do a job shift or a career change. Did you have to do anything as it related to education, or did you have anything as it related to education that you wanted to change?
Yeah, so by this point I had already had my bachelor's. I was focused in early childhood education, and I was working in Chicago public schools, and I was like, I think I want to do more, and I think I want to focus in healthcare. And being able to do that, I would realize that I needed to go back to school and look at getting my master's, and I spent a little time trying to figure out, okay, what is the best program for me, and what does that look like, and what is the career outlook. So that was one big thing that I was like battling and trying to figure out what would be best for me.
If you had a hard habit to change when you started working with your coach and they were holding you accountable, what would you say that was?
I think one of the things that Stephanie really allowed me to do was just kind of be open. At first I was like, I don't really know what this is or what we're doing here, and she just made sure that I was very comfortable and just made sure that I knew that this was a safe space and that they had resources and opportunities, and letting me know that it was okay to ask for help, which was something that she mentioned. And so just kind of having that person to be like, okay, this is where I am, this is what's really going on, what can I do to change this? And that was a big thing, just asking for help.
what it sounds like to me, what you just said, is that she created a safe space. And a lot of times, based on people, when you're talking about finances, it can be an emotional thing, and it's something that we hold close to our heart. So creating that safe place allowed her to be vulnerable, to share where she was, and help her get to the place that she desired. Thank you so much, Stephanie and Artria, for joining us on In the Money. I know our viewers were inspired by your story and your expertise. So thank you guys for being here this evening.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
All right. Money Matters with Old National Bank's Ben Juergens returns on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
Real patients, real donors, real stories that save lives. The National Kidney Foundation of Illinois' podcast, The Journey Continues, featuring transplant recipients, living donors, and top medical experts, is on TV for the first time. Join hosts Sarah Jane Charles and Monica Fox for conversations that could save your life or someone you love. Don't miss the premiere of The Journey Continues on CAN TV. Experience the power of community television.
Joining me now for a fresh installment of Money Matters is Old National Bank's Director of Financial Empowerment, Ben Juergens. Hi, Ben.
Tamara, it's good to be back.
It's so good to see you. It's so good to be back to talk about all things money.
Yes.
So for today, we want to talk about a hot topic, a topic that is probably on the mind of our viewers. They've been hearing about oil prices going up. They hear about, okay, a barrel of oil is X amount of dollars, but what we want to talk about is, what does that mean to the everyday person when they hear that oil prices are increasing or decreasing, and what does it specifically affect financially for the everyday consumer?
That's a great question. So, oil is a base input for the economy, and sometimes we see changes immediately, sometimes down the road. But I think the biggest and most frequent thing that we see early on is the gas prices, right? Usually that's probably the most immediate. We may see things with our utility bills, especially if we are using, heating oil and things like that. But I also think as we look at the delivery and shipment costs, they're going to experience those prices there change, which then may affect the consumer when buying goods and services. But I think what people don't understand is, when oil is down, why is gas not down right away, right? Because it takes a while. Gasoline is a refined product, and there's other things that go into that price building piece there. But then the flip side, when it's up, why is everything not double? So we have to remember that's only one piece of the economy. We still look at, other pieces of interest rates, labor, supply, et cetera. So there's a lot of things that change it, but usually gas prices is the most immediate thing we see.
How does the everyday person account for this cost of something that we need that fluctuates, especially when it fluctuates higher in our budget?
Yeah, so it kind of goes back to the basics, right, Tamara, of the needs and wants piece. And we really got to carve out those must-haves versus the nice-to-haves, right? So as we think about those, we kind of almost have to plan for a spike plan. Those things, or prepare for a spike plan. So we want to realize, maybe put a buffer in your checking account or a buffer in your savings account. Banks, you can open as many accounts as you want as long as you're moving money automatically over. So I think that's one great way to account for that. But we also want to reduce the exposure to the price. And what I mean by that is when we're buying stuff, look at substitute brands, looking at generic instead of the name brand, fuel rewards programs, making sure in our car that our air pressure is equally, so we're not running, more fuel and putting more work into the car than it needs to. But I think the biggest piece is what we don't want to do is finance this with short-term inflation. So not using credit cards when we see the prices go up in influx, right? We've really got to think, do I really need this, and can I just build some buffers in my budget to make it happen?
So we know this is tax day, right?
Yep.
And we want to remind people to file their taxes.
Yeah.
So to end, Ben, we want to do a dad joke.
Oh, of course.
So the word today, of course, is going to be tax or taxes, however you want to do it.
So I would say if you haven't filed, go file, right? But there's a lot of great tips out there. But as we think about dad jokes with taxes, in the world of an accountant, it's got to be, it's just an accrual world, right? It's one of those things. But I think, I've had to switch my accountant lately just because he wasn't acting his wage. It's one of those things. But no, in all fairness, accountants, it's a busy time for them. They're working their assets off. But no, we'll leave it there. So.
That's good. That's good. Thank you so much, Ben, for being here today and doing this installment of Money Matters.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kate.
On the other side of the break, this week's Money Moment. We're back in 30 seconds.
Got something to say about Chicago? Now's your chance to be heard. Chicago Newsroom 2.0 is launching Opinion, a new segment where everyday Chicagoans take the mic. Whether it's a neighborhood issue that's been ignored, a citywide concern that needs attention, or a fresh idea that could change our city, we want to hear from you. Submit your commentary at cantv.org/opinion. If selected, we'll invite you on air to share your perspective with all of Chicago. Experience the power of community television.
Before we go tonight, I want to leave you with this. The Book of Wisdom reminds us, the prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. In other words, wisdom means paying attention and preparing. Right now, we are living in financial times that are constantly changing. There is opportunity in this economy, but there is also the potential for financial struggle. Some people will thrive and others are simply trying to survive. And often the difference comes down to being intentional about your money. There is a lot happening in the world that we cannot control. We cannot control the economy, we cannot control prices, and we cannot control everything that happens in the job market. But there are things that we can control. We can control creating and sticking to a budget. We can control tracking where our money is going. We can control building an emergency fund. We can control attacking our debt. We can control our discretionary spending. And we can control making the decision to invest, even if it starts small. Control what you can control. Here are your action steps from today's episode. Number 1, for those surviving, create your financial plan for 2026. If you don't have one, it's not too late. Sit down and set some clear financial goals, whether that's saving money, paying down debt, shifting careers, or even pursuing more education to increase your earning potential. Then build a budget that supports those goals. Number 2, for those that are thriving, add generosity to your plan. Take a moment to review your financial plan and ask yourself an important question. Does your plan include generosity? As you continue to grow and succeed financially, consider making it part of your plan to reach back and help someone who may be struggling to survive. There are many causes and organizations doing incredible work, and giving can be a powerful way to make an impact while also aligning with your values. And charitable contributions are tax deductible. Number 3, for everyone, build your financial support team. Don't be afraid to get support. If you need help, reach out to trusted financial resources. And if you are a parent who is struggling financially and looking for support, organizations like Live Chicago are doing incredible work helping families move from financial struggle to stability. And I want to encourage you to stay locked in within the money this season. Someone recently shared with me that they watched every episode last season. They didn't think they were watching to change their finances, but as they watched and applied the action steps, their financial behavior began to shift. So, as we begin this new season, I'll leave you with the same question we started with tonight. Are you thriving or are you surviving? Next week, we'll take a deep dive into credit and how to use it to your advantage. And Ben Juergens returns with a new installment of Money Matters. In the meantime, if you have any questions about today's topic or any financial question, send them to me email me at tamara@moneybasicsonline.com or follow me on Instagram at IamMoneyBasics. Also follow my guests on social media. I would love to keep this conversation going, so let's connect. Remember, we are on this journey together to get, stay, and grow in the money. See you next time.